Alright, so this is part 3 of our 3-part tutorial on how to streamline your backend operations. And in this part, we'll go over the third challenge, which is how to pick, pack, and ship your items in a quick and efficient way. And the challenges that we're looking to solve here is that we want multiple shippers to pick, pack, and ship the items at the same time without running into each other, right? We want to avoid going to the warehouse multiple times when we're picking our orders, whether that be for every single order you go and grab the items, or even if you're going to the warehouse to pick multiple orders, you're not having to make trips to the same location multiple times, right? So that's what we want to avoid. And finally, instead of printing our shipping labels one item at a time, we want to bulk print them. And as a bonus, we want to leverage discounted shipping rates so that we can save a lot of money on our shipping labels. Okay, so those are the challenges that we're going to solve in this video. Now again, this is part 3 of our tutorial series. So if you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, I would recommend that you watch those first so that this video makes more sense. And you can find the links to those videos in the description down below of this video. Okay. So what we're going to do is let's talk about our process for how we're going to pick, pack, and ship our items so that we don't run into the challenges that we just talked about, so that we can solve the challenges that we just talked about. Okay. So first thing is, I'm hoping you have already decided on a layout for your warehouse, by this time. So for this video, I'm going to assume that we have the first layout here that we talked about, where you've got rows, right? Your warehouse is nicely separated into rows, going all the way from the beginning to your warehouse to all the way to the end. Okay, so you've got a very long row here, and you've got shelves in multiple shelves within each row, and you've nicely labeled your rows. Okay, and you've also labeled your shelves, big stickers on the floor, so you can easily identify your rows and your shelves within those rows. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do is let's assume we have 2 shippers. Okay, you can have as many as you want. Let's assume we have 2, and let's assume we have 100 orders to ship. Okay, 100 orders. And the items in these orders, they are all scattered across our warehouse. So we have some items that are in row 1, some items that are in row 2, some that are in row 3, row 4, and so forth. First thing we're going to do is we're going to assign a row to each shipper. So shipper number 1, let's call him S1, gets this row. Shipper number 2, let's call him S2, gets this row. All right. That's how we're going to do it. And then, once these 2 rows are done, then we're going to reassign whoever is done quicker to the next row. All right. And then once that next person is done, then it gets this row. Okay. So they just kind of take turns. But now, because each shipper is dedicated to a row, they will not get in each other's way, because shipper 1 is going to be here and shipper 2 is going to be working here. So it's nicely separated. That solves the first challenge, which is enable multiple shippers to ship items without running into each other. Now let's talk about the second challenge, is when shipper 1 is picking orders, okay, how does he make sure that he's not running back and forth from R1 to RB, RB to RC, and then R1 to R1C to RA again? What we want is the shipper to do this, something like this. The shipper comes here, picks all the items that he needs for his orders that are in this row. Okay, maybe there's 5 items, then moves on here, picks all the items that are located in this row, then moves on here, picks the items here, then moves on here, and so forth. And by the time he's done, he's picked all his items for all his orders that he wants, and then he goes back to his shipping station and he prepares to ship those orders. That's the process we want to follow. We don't want to follow the process where you're doing this. You start here, you pick some items, you run here, you pick some items, you go back here because you have an item here, then you go back here, and then you go back here. That's not the process we want to follow. We want to follow a nice and linear process where you're stopping at each row one at a time, picking those items, and then going back. So how do we solve this? What we're going to do is we're going to use what is known as a tote system. And what a tote is, let me go back in and show you what a tote is. A tote is basically a rolling cart, okay? Imagine like a big cart, you know, with wheels on the bottom, okay? And it's divided up into 3 to 5 shelves, okay? You know, so it's divided up into sections, just like our shelves. So, you know, maybe 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this case, I have 5 sections, but, you know, can have more or less. And within each section, we have a little bin. All right, we have plastic containers, and they are different colors. Okay, and you can have either 3 containers per section, or you can have 5, or you know, however wide your tote is. Okay, now these are color coded, and they're also named. So this is my tote number 1, C1, tote number 2, C2, and these bins are then labeled with C1R1, C1R2, C1R3, and so forth. And they also have a little, I haven't showed it in this video, but they also have a little barcode. So there's a barcode here that you can scan. Okay, each of these bins, or we call them totes, okay, keep our terminology clean so that we don't confuse shelf bins from totes. So we'll call these plastic containers, you know, and really it's just a container. It's a plastic container and we're going to stick a label on it that will have the barcode on top or bottom, and it'll say C1Y1. So you can just take the scan gun and scan one of these barcodes. Okay. So the way the process is going to work is shipper 1 is going to grab, you know, his tote C1, and he's going to say, I'm ready to pick orders. And the system should know when the system will be telling the shipper where he needs to place all of his items in these totes. Okay, so let's go back to our warehouse now. Our shipper is going to take his little cart, right, with all the totes inside it, and he's going to walk this way, and he is doing all the orders, right, that are located, all 100 out of 100 orders. He's doing the ones that are located in R1. So let's say, and what you have to do is you have to give it a size as to how many orders you can pick at any given time. Now the way that works is if you look at your tote again, right, the maximum orders I can pick at any given time is 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 by 5, 15 orders, right, for this specific cart. You can have a bigger cart and you can pick more orders, but for this cart I can only pick 15 orders because I have I can't write. Hold on, let me fix this. Because I have 15 bins, 15 totes, right? So I can only pick 15 orders. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I'm going to pick 15 orders that are located in R1. All right. So this is R1, and so from these 100 orders, 15 orders will be assigned to me. Okay. And all of these orders are located in R1. So what I'm going to do now, let's assume that our first order has the following items, right? So we're going to assume that our first order has, I don't know, you know, an item from R1A, S1, B2, and R1A, S1, B3, and let's say it also has an item from R1, D, S2, B1. All right, and we have another order, let's say, that's located in R1A, S1, B2. So the same item, right? The same item is another order, right? And let's go with that. Okay. So the way this is going to work is the system will tell me go to R1A, okay, and let's say this was quantity ordered 1 here and quantity ordered 2 here, okay. The system will tell me go to R1 S1 B2, okay, R1 S1 B2, which is this slot here, pick one item and put it in, let's say this slot is called C1 T1. Put it in C1 T1. So I'll take one item and I'll put it here, C1 T1. Then the system will tell me, okay, now take 2 more units of S1 B1 and put it in C1 T2. okay? Because I have 2 purchase orders, and here for S1, B1 I have 1, and here I have 2. So notice the system is telling me to pick all my quantities from S1, B1 while I am there. So I'm actually fulfilling multiple orders. I'm picking items from multiple orders at the same time, and I'm putting them in separate totes so that they're not getting mixed up. So now I have one item, I have one product in C1 T1, and I have 2 products in C1 T2 for the second order, right? Then the system is going to tell me, okay, now while you're in R1A, I also want you to pick S1 B1 and put it in C1 T1. Why? Because my first order has 3 items. 1, 2, 3, right? So I'm going to then go back to T1 and put the second item in there, okay? So the other item is in there now, okay? And then the system is going to tell me, okay, now you're all done. Now if I have more items in R1A1, right, another purchase order in R1A1, it's going to ask me to pick those items in different totes, okay? Once I'm all done with R1A1 and I've placed all the items in all the different totes, then I move on. So then the system is going to tell me that, okay, now go to R1B1, pick items from there, put it in all the different totes. Remember, the system is telling me which tote to put it inside. I'm not deciding that. The system is telling me that. And then finally, as I walk through, I will be done with all my 15 orders. And now at the end, all my 15 orders have been picked and placed into my cart, with each tote containing different items, right? So it's looking something like this once I'm done. All right. Okay. So imagine like there's more shelves here, right? We'll just look at the top 3. Okay, so here I have an item from R1A, S1, B2. I have one of those since my original order had 1. So one of these. And then I have another item from R1A, S1, B3. And then I have another item in this from R1, B, S2, B1, okay? And this is my C1, T1 tote, okay? And here I have this one item here, R1A, S1, B2, and I have 2 units of them. That's all I have here, because the second order only had 1 item, right? So this is my T2 tote. So imagine all these totes are sort of filled up like that with all my items for all my different orders. Okay, so this contains, let's say this is my PO number 1, right? And this is PO number 2, PO number 3, and so forth. So this contains items for PO number 1. This contains items for PO number 2, PO number 3, and so forth. Okay. Then what I do is, now at this point I've picked all of my items for those 15 orders. I can go back to my shipping station, right? So I go back to my shipping station and I tell the system that I'm done picking, so bulk print my labels, okay? Because I'm done picking all these items. Now these labels, they're gonna bulk print in the same order, right? This is my huge label shelf sheet, and these are all labels: label number 1, label number 2, label number 3, and these are all bulk printing in the same order as my totes. So all I have to do then is grab the items from this one, put them in a box, apply label 1 to it, grab my second items, put them in a box, tape it up, apply the second label to it, and you get the drill, right? So I'm bulk printing my labels and I'm processing all my orders in this cart all at once. At the end, I'm done. So I tell the system I'm done, I'm ready for my next shelf, and the next shelf is then assigned to me. So if I'm done with this, I go to R3 and I repeat the process for R3. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how we can pick our items in an efficient manner without, number one, running into each other, because every shipper is assigned a row, and making multiple trips back and forth in our warehouse, because I'm now picking my orders in a streamlined fashion. Okay, starting at R1 and moving all the way down, using my tote as a way to place all my items nicely and separately, so that when it comes to shipping them out, I'm not having to reshuffle and reorganize all the items again into their appropriate orders. It's already done for me. All right, now let's look at how we can use SellerChamp to implement this process. So today, right now, we just talked about the process for how this process should be working. Okay, now what we're going to do is look at how SellerChamp can be used to implement this process. All right, so if I go into SellerChamp and I click on my orders page, I can see all my orders that are awaiting shipment. So these are some test orders that I created, right? That are awaiting shipment, and now we want to ship these out. And as you go down these list of orders, you'll see that some of them have multiple items. So this first order has item number 1 and item number 2, and you'll see that this pick location is already populated. So SellerChamp already does this work for you. When as orders start coming in, as it starts pulling orders from all your selling channels, it'll go through your existing inventory, see what's available, and automatically assign locations to your items, so you know where to go to pick this item. So it wants you to go to R2A, S2B5 to pick this item. It wants you to go to R2C, S2B3 to pick this item, R2A, and so forth, R1A, S1B1 to pick this item, and so forth. Now remember, we have 2 shippers. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a pick sheet. Okay, so we're not going to start shipping orders just by going down the list here. That's not what we want to do. We're going to create a pick sheet, and we're going to say, you know what, for shipper 1, so we're going to call this, assign this to shipper 1. All right, so assign name shipper 1, and for location, we're going to type in R1, because we want shipper 1 to pick the orders that are located in R1. Okay, so so we'll create this pick set, and while it's populating, we'll create another pick set, and we're going to assign this to right here, shipper 2, and this one we're going to say R2. Okay, create. So shipper 1 is going to pick all the orders from R1, shipper 2 is going to pick all the orders from R2, and create. All right, as you can see, pick set is already ready for shipper 1, so we go into it, and these are the orders that he or she is going to pick from all these locations. Notice how the locations are sort of sorted by the prefix and also by the bins. So you're going to go to R1, S1, B1 first to pick your items, then you're going to move on to R1A, S2, B2 to pick those items, and so forth. Okay, now the way this works here is you're going to take your tote and you're going to go into this row R1A. You're going to stop at R1A, which is your first shelf. Okay, and you're going to go grab this item. Okay, so you've got a big picture, you've got a SKU, you've got a barcode, so you've got all the identifying information for picking the right item. And it also tells you how many items you want to pick. It says number of units to pick, 2. So you're going to scan in that you're going to go grab that item and you're going to scan it in. Okay, if you don't have a scanner, then optionally you can click the pick button. But if you have a scanner, you want to scan it in. Okay, so for the purposes of this demo, because I don't have a physical item in front of me, I'm going to hit the pick button. But in reality, you're going to use your scan gun and scan in this item. So as soon as you scan this item, that's the same thing as hitting the pick button. It's going to come to this page and it's going to tell you place item in tote for order number, and then whatever the order number is, place 2 units of this SKU in the below tote. So it's telling you where it wants you to put it. It wants you to put this in C1 red 1. Okay, those are my totes, by the way. So the red, remember the red, yellow, blue, black totes that I showed you? I have those exact same totes in my system, and I've named them accordingly. So the for cart 1, the red tote that goes in cart 1, first section slot is called C1 red 1. I also have a C1 red 2, C1 red 3, and so forth. So I'm going to hit select because it's free and it's telling me to put it here. So I'm going to hit select. Again, you don't have to hit select. If you have a label on your tote, you can just scan that label in. Okay, that's the same thing as hitting select. All right, so now you see this item has been marked as picked. Now it's asking me to pick my next item from R1, A1, S1, B1, B2, and it wants me to pick one item. So again, I'm going to go grab. In this case, it doesn't have a picture, but imagine it has a picture. You can just mouse over, look at the picture, look at the barcode, make sure you grab the right item and you scan it. Now, the nice thing is if you scan the wrong item, this will actually beep. It won't let you. So it will actually beep and there's an error message that will show up here saying the item you scanned is not the next item that needs to be picked. Okay. So it's it's nice because you will not make mistake. If you make a mistake, it'll stop you. Okay. And for some odd reason, let's say that this is a non-shippable item. For instance, let's say this is like a warranty, that's being sold that doesn't ship, then you can just say mark as picked. All right. So again, I'm going to pick this item. And now it's going to tell me that, order number placed 1 unit in this below tote, R1, red one. Now notice it says occupied, which means it already has an item. And it wants me to put this other item also in that tote. Why? Because this order has 2 items, so it wants me to put the second item as well in this existing tote, C1, R1. And the way I know that is because it's telling me that, hey, listen, this already has 1 item, so we know that, and we want you to put the second item in there as well. So then you're going to again scan the tote or click the select button and put the item in that tote. Okay, now we've placed the second unit as well. And both have been marked as both the items have been marked and picked. Now you're going to take your cart, move on to the next section, which is R1C. So you're going to go to R1C, and again you're going to scan in this item, and it tells you how many units to pick. So you're going to pick 2 units, and right now it wants you to put it in red 2. Okay, so you're going to put it in red 2, scan the tote, or hit the select button. Done. At this time, I have already picked all my items. Done. Now I have a choice. I can either print my my pick list, that shows me all the different items that I've picked, or I can download it as a CSV file. If I am using third-party fulfillment providers, services that are going to actually be shipping the items out for me, I can assign these orders to them as well, so that they will be the ones shipping it out. Or I can ship it out myself. The way you do that is you click on view orders. All right, and you click create and print labels. All right, so here you can, now the thing is nothing is showing up because my addresses are all incorrect or missing. So that's why when I'm saying, maybe for the first one, it might show up. The first one has an address. Let's see. All right, cool, awesome. So the first one has an address, so it went with the cheapest, shipping rate, which is USPS priority. And I can actually check that. So I can click on the edit button, and this is the discounted shipping that I was talking about. So we have a discounted, third-party UPS and also FedEx shipping accounts that offer discounted rates. So we'll actually show you the rates across all your connected couriers. You can connect your own UPS and FedEx accounts, and then we'll actually compare and show you the rates as to what you're getting with your UPS account versus the discounted shipping UPS accounts. And there's another discounted shipper service that we'll be integrating with soon that has even better rates than the discount shipper. So you can then go with the cheapest one that you want to go with. In this case, we've gone with priority because that's cheaper than ground, which is $14.82 for UPS. All right, so you can quickly go through that, click your shipping label, click save. All right, then fix this address. So in this case, the address itself is incomplete. That's why I didn't pick a shipping service. Otherwise it would have. And then you go through, save all your orders, and then you can click next, and you can create and print your labels. And again, the orders, the orders will be printed in the same order as the totes. All right, so you bulk print all your shipping labels, and you package up all your items now that are in those totes, and you ship them out. And also this page will tell you, which tote has which items. So it's telling me that This order is in tote 1 and this order is in tote 2. That's it. So that shipper, so you're done at this point. You're done with your first batch of orders and you've shipped them out. Now and then shipper 2 is going to do the same thing. So if we go into the pick set that we created for shipper 2, let's quickly take a look at that and see how that's looking. So pick and pack, right? And these are all the orders. Notice all of them are from R2, right? So shipper 2 is working in R2. And he's going to follow the same process that we just followed for shipper 1. Right, pick up all those items and ship them out. All right. Now, if you've been paying close attention, you would have a question right now, which is, okay, fine. You printed the items that were, you shipped out the orders that were in R1 and R2, but what about orders that are located in multiple rows? So if I have an order that has 2 items, one from R1 and one from R2, how are you going to pick those out? Because when we are creating our pick sets, we're saying only pick orders that are located in R1 or R2. Well, what if an order has item from both the rows? So once we're done with the individual rows, okay, then we create a pick set, and this time we don't specify a prefix, okay? So this time, whichever shipper got done first, let's say it was shipper 2, we say, hey, shipper 2, you're done. Okay, now I want you to pick all the remaining orders that haven't been shipped out that are located in that have items in multiple rows. So we're going to keep the location prefix empty because now we wanted to pick all those orders that have not been shipped out yet. Okay, so this is you do at the end. Once you've picked your orders that are located in all the different rows, once you're done with that, then at the end, you keep the prefix empty. Set your size and you do this and you say create. Now it's going to pick orders that have not been shipped out that are located in multiple rows, right? So as you can see, now we are seeing that. So these orders, right, are all mixed up because it has items in multiple. So again, it'll start from R1 and then go to R2, then go to R3 and go to R4 and so forth. So that order is still there. You're still starting from R1, picking all the items, then moving on to R2, picking all those items, then moving on to R3, picking all those items and so forth. Okay. So and then at this point, now you're done picking all your orders because you've picked all the orders that are located in a single row, and you've picked orders that have multiple items that are located in multiple rows. All right. And that's it. And also any items that don't have locations will also show up. So if you have items for which you have not assigned them to a specific location, that will also show up in this pick set. All right. And that's it. That is how you pick, pack, and ship your orders quickly and efficiently. Okay, without making mistakes, without the shippers going crazy, or without the owner being going crazy, or why it's taking so long and why are all these mistakes happening and so forth. So if you follow this process all the way through, the way we've talked about it, how you list items, how you store them, and how you pick and pack, you can now grow your business, without running into slowdowns, running into mistakes, and without the owner having to be there physically every single day. I have customers that tell me, Nizar, how the heck do I get out of my warehouse? I can't get out of my warehouse. I'm just having to constantly guide my shippers and guide my listers, and there are all these mistakes happening. It's because you don't have a good process in place. It's because of that. Once you have a solid process in place, you shouldn't have to physically be in your warehouse. Okay, things should just work. So follow this process, and I am confident that things are going to go much smoothly for you going forward. One thing I do want to add is that this process may not work 100% for you. Like, you may want to tweak it a little bit. You may want to change things a bit, or you may already be doing that. You may already be doing something separate, something different. Every business is different. So I'm not going to presume that this process, the way I have described, is going to work for you exactly like it is 100% of the time. You may want to tweak things. Now, the good news that I have is that our software SellerChamp is very flexible in that it can be customized to fit your workflow. Okay. So if you need to make tweaks to this process, or if you want to change your workflow a little bit, or if you want to change the software a little bit to fit your workflow, that is something that we can work with you on. Okay, like, we'd rather the software works for your workflow rather than you trying to fit your workflow into the process, right? So if you feel like you need some tweaks, some customizations, maybe you have a different logic, definitely yes, give us a call, or hit us up on our chat service, and we'd be open to jumping on a call with you and discussing how you need this process to work for your business and make those customizations. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this was helpful. I know it was long. It was a 3-part tutorial series, but I hope it was helpful, and I hope it gives you a solid process to continue to streamline your operations and grow your business. Thank you so much.